Diesel settles into a steady rhythm as the Longline plan is checked against weather and current.
A gloved hand runs the main line for abrasion, knowing bottom terrain will punish any weak section.
Steel rails catch spray while the stern deck is cleared into safe lanes for fast hauling later.
Paper charts and an analog logbook guide the day, long before the first hook ever touches water.
Bait station starts methodically, every circle hook loaded to fish clean and hold under pressure.
Leaders are clipped in sequence, building a chain of small decisions that prevents chaos during the haul. The hauler is test run briefly, and hydraulic tone confirms the deck will be ready for heavy tension.
A stern chute is cleared and checked twice, because a longline run only stays safe when space exists.
Deck lights fade behind the breakwater, and salt begins to film every moving part on deck. Final bait bins are topped off, keeping pace steady so the set can run without gaps. First baited hooks feed out in rhythm, each drop measured to keep spacing uniform in deep water. Floats and tags disappear aft, marking the set like quiet punctuation across a moving ocean.
The set continues mile after mile, and discipline matters more than speed when gear costs are counted.
Hooks sink into darkness, and the bait hangs clean, waiting without a single animal in sight.
The line settles along rough bottom structure, and every swivel is meant to prevent twisting under load.
Back on deck, the last float goes over, and the crew watches timing like a metronome. A quiet soak begins, and even small shifts in drift can decide where the first bite happens. Knives stay sheathed and tools staged, because venomous spines later will demand distance and control.
The first strike is sudden, and jaws clamp bait as the circle hook rotates into the corner. Line tension builds, and the fish rolls once, failing to shake the hook set cleanly in cartilage.
The surface, a buoy line changes angle, signaling weight below and a bite that is holding.
The hauler turns over, and the mainline hum changes as load transfers into steel and hydraulics.
Deep below, the fish surges again, and spines flare as it inflates to resist pressure. A pale shape rises, and bubbles trace the leader upward as the first fish approaches daylight. The leader comes tight at the rail, and the fish fights like a spined buoy refusing capture.
The fish erupts half out of the water, inflated and spined, forcing the line to sing under strain. Two sets of hands coordinate silently, keeping slack off the leader while the fish spins beside steel. A lifting sling is positioned because spines demand distance and the rail offers no second chances. The davit takes weight smoothly, and seawater sheets off spines as the fish clears the surface. On deck, the inflated body bucks and skitters, and every step is chosen to avoid spines.
The hook is backed out cleanly, and the leader never leaves the mouthline during the removal.
Containment comes next, sliding the fish into a rigid tote so the haul can continue without delay. The main line keeps coming, and the next leader arrives vibrating with a giant porcupinefish pulling hard. A second porcupinefish shows at the rail, inflated early, using spines as armor against lift. The sling bites the weight, and the giant porcupinefish twists once, making timing more important than strength.
Another fish rolls at the surface like a spined ball, and the leader stays bar tight through each surge.
The deck cycle repeats faster now, with sling, mat, and tote moving like a single tool. A fresh leader arrives shaking,
and the hauler's pitch rises, hinting at another heavy fish below.
The fish shows under the wash, inflated wide, and the hook holds where it was meant to hold.
The leader is pinned straight along the rail, preventing a final twist from turning spines into danger.
A big fish hits the mat hard, inflates again, and the deck briefly becomes a careful, spine-and scramble.
Hook removal is quick, and the fish is contained immediately so hauling momentum never breaks. Fresh bait is clipped on fast, because a high-volume haul only pays when hooks keep cycling. Buoy hardware rattles at the rail, and the crew reads tiny angle changes like a language.
A leader comes up heavy, and the hauler slows for control, not speed.
Below, another fish clamps down, and spines lift as it tries to wedge itself against bottom structure.
The fish reaches the wash, and the hook placement is confirmed before any lift is attempted.
A violent surface roll throws spray across steel, and the inflated fish refuses to come quietly.
Davit lift is timed between surges, turning a chaotic fight into a controlled swing onto deck.
A quick weight note goes into the paper log, because value is measured fish by fish.
The wheelhouse marks the next waypoint on paper, keeping the haul aligned with current and drift. Back at the hauler, another leader rises, and the deck team resets positions without a word.
Spray and noise build as the haul continues, and fatigue shows only in slower breathing.
The biggest fish yet hits deck, inflates fully, and turns the stern into a tight, dangerous workspace.
After the breach, the leader is pinned low, and the giant porcupinefish surges again beside the rail.
The stern deck is now crowded with gear and fish totes, so footwork becomes the safety system. A short lull appears, then the hauler loads again, proving the set is holding more fish below. Hooks and snaps rattle by, and every empty leader still gets checked for twist and wear.
One last fish shows just under the rail, inflated and steady, as if conserving energy for a final roll.
The leader comes tight again, and the giant porcupinefish balloons up, turning the rail into a hard control zone.
The main line is coiled back into order, and the stern finally looks like a workspace again.
The gaff stays clear, the leader is timed, and the giant porcupinefish slides toward the sling.
The crew pauses beside a hard-earned pile, knowing every spined fish represents careful work and real money.
Lumber cranes and forklifts replace waves, and the triple's value becomes paperwork, pallets, and temperature control.
Each tote is checked and staged, because spines and toxins demand controlled handling even after the ocean fight. Load rolls into receiving, and cold air becomes the new tide that protects quality. Inside the plant, stainless tables take over, and the catch becomes a controlled processing line.
Receiving staff grade size and condition, because price is built on consistency before any cut begins.
The first rinse removes salt and slime, preparing spined skin for careful removal under strict safety protocols.
Spined skin is lifted away in sections, keeping hands clear and surfaces clean for food-grade processing. A dedicated discard stream keeps hazardous parts separated, while edible sections move forward without cross-contact. Fillets emerge clean, white, and firm, a texture that must never resemble tuna or salmon in this cut.
Portions are trimmed to uniform thickness, because restaurant buyers pay for predictable cook times and yield.
Quality control checks firmness and odor, and any questionable lot is pulled before packing begins. Vacuum sealing starts the clock on freshness, locking clean white portions for cold storage and shipping.
Packs move into glazing and blast chill, because rapid temperature drop protects texture and market grade.
Cartons close without branding, and the product becomes anonymous freight inside a disciplined cold chain. A final tray check confirms weight and count, turning yesterday's fight into inventory that can be sold. Pallets are wrapped tight because vibration and thaw cycles are the hidden enemies between plant and plate. The freezer door shuts, and a clean white product rests in darkness at deep sub-zero temperatures. Order sheets move with the pallets, linking the catch to buyers without a single brand name on display.
A small QA seal goes on, and the shipment is cleared for controlled transit to restaurants.
The last station rinses down, and tomorrow's shift will never see the ocean that supplied this line.
The final product photo is taken without labels, because anonymity keeps the footage clean and universal.
Pallets queue at the dock door, and cold air spills out like fog around boots and wheels.
Shipment is staged by temperature zone, reducing risk before the truck door even closes. A final count is confirmed, and the plant's role ends as transport takes responsibility for quality. The freezer inventory settles, and the product waits silently for a kitchen that will treat it as premium.
An empty stainless line gleams, a reminder that the most dramatic work happened far offshore, without witnesses.
Cartons are staged for dispatch, turning seafood into freight that must stay frozen across every mile. A final seal is applied, and the shipment leaves the plant with nothing visible but clean packaging.
The cold chain takes the baton, and time becomes the invisible cost behind every premium portion. Deep freeze storage locks the product down, holding texture and value while shipping schedules catch up.
A reefer truck is loaded and sealed, and temperature becomes a promise that cannot be broken. The route is ordinary highway and warehouse lights, yet one warm hour could undo an entire trip's work.
At the restaurant dock, boxes move into a walk-in cooler, and the ocean finally becomes kitchen inventory.
A chef opens the first pack, and clean white portions show the payoff of strict cold chain.
Prep stays precise, because this species demand trained hands and strict separation of non-edible parts.
A light seasoning and careful heat protect texture, letting the white flesh stay tender without drying out.
The pan comes off, and resting time finishes the cook, while the pass readies plates.
Plating stays simple and clean, keeping attention on the portion that started as a spined fight offshore.
The plate leaves the pass, and the kitchen noise drops behind it like a closing door.
A final garnish lands, and the portion looks quiet, hiding the violence of waves and hauling.
The kitchen resets stations, because tomorrow's service will demand the same discipline as the sea. At the table, the first cut shows firm white flakes, and the room stays calm and ordinary.
Conversation replaces machinery, yet the price on the menu still reflects fuel, risk, and careful handling.
With the deck rinsed and hooks counted, coffee steadies hands as the next set is planned in pencil.
Plates clear, and only the sound of cutlery remains, far from spray, steel, and spines.
The check is signed, and the story closes where it began, with labor hidden behind a simple plate. Outside, night air feels ordinary, and the sea is unseen again, waiting beyond steel and memory.